All right, you all, welcome back to another episode of HX Conversations here on HeyJorge.com. It is me, Keith Price. Of course, you know that. That's not new. I'm not Jorge, but it's Keith. That's how you can do it with me. And I'm excited because, again, we get so many different opportunities to talk to so many different people that do different things in the world. And one of the things that I love about what we do on HX Conversations is that, we're also bringing people of color to the forefront here on the site that we normally do. Latino energy, Afro-Latino, Afro energy, all of that is brought onto the site. And it's really a joy because every now and then you get to have these conversations with people that you never in a million years would think would even want to talk to you, much less at the same time, they come with such an interesting connection and an interesting reason to have a conversation with them. And so today, you're about to meet this fantastic individual who has an entire career that started off in the world of music as a world-class drummer. He has played with Aretha Franklin. He's played with Queen Latifah. You can see him work Bono and Sting. If you go to his website, which I'll give you the link to that later on in this show, you can see him sitting down with Elton John, hanging out with Nile Rogers. These are all major, major, major names in the world of music. And he has played drums with all of these people. He has, music directed shows like the Caroline Ray Show. He's, worked with Showtime at the Apollo for the last 15 seasons of being a part of that show. And it is amazing because he has turned that career as well as stepping out of that into an entrepreneurial moment, which for somebody like me, because y'all know I do enjoy a cookie. We're not going to pretend that Keith does not enjoy a cookie because we know that Keith loves him some cookies. And it's fun because I was introduced to this man and his products, Soul Snacks, for those of you who are looking online, so you can start doing that as we're talking. But it is amazing because right now, Mr. Ralph Rolle is here with me today, and his last name is spelled just like Esther Rolls. So those of you who are watching, yes, I did ask. They're just cousins, and he never met. So it's really kind of upsetting a little bit because I was expecting us to do a damn moment together, but we can only just live with that in our TV lives. But it is so great to have you here, Ralph. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me. And let's do it together.
Absolutely.
Damn.
I'm sure you get that all the time. How many people, thousands, have asked you, are you related? Because that was the first thing when I saw your name, I was like, oh, is this her son? I got super excited. Well, I love that. But, it's really great because you started off your career as a drummer.
Yeah.
And have become a world-class drummer. Like you can even find he's teaching master classes, y'all, on people who are really wanting to learn how to drum and learning the skill of drumming and also learning the artistry of drumming. Like you've managed to manifest that whole aspect into not only a career, but you're also out there teaching other people how to do. So when did you get started with music? How did it start?
Like most of us, being exposed to music came through someone older.
Right.
And that person, the main person, was my brother Howie, Howard, but we called him Howie. He's about 8 years older than I am. And my brother was my brother is a very music. He's a music aficionado. He loves all types of music. And growing up, he listened to gospel, he listened to rock and roll, he listened to R&B, he listened to soul, he listened to poetry. He actually snuck and let me hear the last poets when I was a kid. So him being my influence, I followed him with everything that he had done, and music just became a part of my life. I was a big Motown kid, he loved Motown, and I was a Temptations groupie. I knew all of their ages, their heights, their zodiac signs.
All 65 of them, right?
All of it, yeah. Actually, it's 66. No.
Oh wow, there's a
No,
lot of them. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
but that love of music just stayed with me. You know, like many people, it's just once it becomes part of your life, you find what works for you. Like when my daughter was little, I made a CD for the car. She's 19 now on the way to college, but I made a CD in the car of all of my favorite and her mother's favorite music, and we would just play it all the time. And she got to a point where she was around 15 where she didn't want to have anything to do with the music. And then
Wow.
it all flipped back again because I'm listening to her, and I mean, she listens to everything from Sam to Bessie Smith. I mean, I just went to her mother and said, I can't believe her, you know, what she's listening to. So
Did you like get all curled up? You were just like,
yeah, no, I did, because it was stuff that was, you know, this was all iconic
right,
legends, you know, in music. You know, I mean,
right.
she loves Sam Cooke, and she's 19. You know,
Wow.
and and it's great. And she has vinyl in her room now. It's like, go
Wow.
figure.
Whose kid is this?
Right.
But I mean, but that's a great thing, because, you know, many of us, like you said, that's how we learned about music. I mean, my parents were, I mean, I guess we're probably about in the same age range, but my parents, you know,
I'm 32.
Huh? Say that again?
I'm 32.
Yes, so am I. I am. No, no, but my parents, you know, we were the Nat King Coles, the Ella Fitzgeralds, Dinah Washington. Like, those were names that I grew up listening to at an early age, at a time when we were getting ready to hit disco. And so it was a very strange thing to have a connection to that music at a time where the music was not the same, and to be young. And so for your daughter, I'm sure that, you know, at 19 listening to Bessie Smith, I mean, even I didn't do that, but I mean, like, that is a testament to possibly your influence, don't you feel? Like, I mean, at least for her to investigate that stuff.
I, I would say yes, but it came back, so it kind of creeped in. So I was kind of shocked because I wasn't expecting, you know, to hear the stuff that she plays out loud and be proud of it.
Wow.
You know, so that was a great thing that she, you know, because I've told us from the time she was little that, you know, your future, you have to know your past. You
Right.
have to know what came before you and how those people got to where they got to. And
Right.
when you think kids aren't listening, it's like, oh wow, she was listening.
So, you know, but your daughter, as you were saying before, it's like the knowing what your past is, knowing the histories and stuff like that, which is a very interesting thing, because what you have done with your company, which we have to make sure to name correctly, because, you know me, the Soul Snacks, is part of the success of that company is the fact that you have respected the history, your own personal history, and that is the history of your own family. Because for those of you who are not big cookie aficionados, but will soon be after this interview is over, I'm sure, your Soul Snacks, the recipes come from your mother and grandmother. Is that correct? These were,
well, from my, so I tried my best to figure out when the recipe was actually made.
right.
My grandmother was born in 1900.
Okay.
So it was my assumption that she must have been baking as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And she either created the recipe herself, or she probably got it from her mother, my great grandmother, which I never met.
Right.
So the date that we stamped on it was 1916, because she was born in 19.
Right.
To say how old the recipe is, because I'm not going to just make up a time
right
before that, you know. So 1916. So the recipe is probably two of the recipes are probably more than they are 100 years old, more than 100 years old
at this point.
So what I've done is I've taken the basis of those recipes and made other recipes with that. Is now we have 18 different flavors.
18 different flavors, one of which includes sweet potato.
Yeah.
The standard chocolate chip, of course, but there is a sweet potato cookie. That's what I'm living for right now.
I'm going to tell you a secret. We just basically finalized a cornbread cookie.
Shut up. You shut up.
Yeah,
Don't
it
you?
is. It's really
Ooh,
good.
I'm already like mushing it up in
We
a thing with the milk on top of it right now. Okay.
it's not even in the market yet because we haven't done the nutritional breakdowns, but it has to go through many iterations before we say it's good, but it's good. And now we'll do the nutrition facts and we'll post it on the website. And it's a nice crunchy cookie that tastes really good.
I love that. So for those of you, I'm talking to Mr. Ralph Rolle, and we're dealing with his. Well, if you're looking at the video right now, you will see eventually that eatsoulsnacks.com is the website, eatsoulsnacks.com. And, it's like Georgia oatmeal raisin, peanut butter, down home double chocolate chip, ebony and ivory, almond cookie. I'm going to read them all. Grampy's chocolate peanut butter cookie, French cocoa chocolate chip, Miami raisin walnut, shut up, chunked up chocolate walnut, this joyful gingerbread. Come on now. Like you are hitting all the flavor palettes. All of the flavor palettes. So it's great. And for those who are wanting to find these cookies, you can not only order them online, but there is now huge distribution because you can get the cookies worldwide, but there's huge distribution now that he's working with Walmart right now to get it, having it everywhere for you to be able to get access to, which is, I gotta say, you better tear it up, brother. That's fabulous. So again, how then did you transition from, and I mean, you've never given up music, I'm sure. You're still playing and you're still doing gigs, but you're not probably like having a company like this, eatsoulsnacks.com, but Soul Snacks in general. This, you can't have a worldwide distribution. You can't have distribution in Walmart statewide. You can't do all of that and not devote a lot of time to it. So how do you balance being able to run this other company as well as being an artist and getting out and doing your work as an artist as well? Because cookies will feed my belly, truth be told, but artistry is going to feed your soul. So how do you maintain that balance?
My wife has had my back for 20 years.
Okay.
And she is in the growth of this company. Mm-hmm. Friends have been there when I opened up my facility to help me build walls and paint. And, people have come in and helped with, packaging, but this is after they saw that I was serious about it.
Right.
And just, hey, I want you to do this. I want you to do that. I was, out there product, letting people know that this is what I wanted to do. And they was like, okay, well, he's serious about it. Let's see how we can
help him
now help this move forward. So I very disturbed about people when they said that they are, and that's kind of far-fetched to me. Mathematically, it doesn't add up to me.
Say that again. I had a ripple that happened when you said that. I want to make sure I get that.
When people to someone else, usually a self-made millionaire, mm-hmm. I usually have an issue with that because it's self-made means that you literally
did it all by
yourself. And that to me is a human possibility. It's impossible to say you did it all yourself, but I'm very fortunate to have the people in my life, my family, my wife, my daughter, my friends that have supported this forward motion in this journey. Mm-hmm. And I'll never turn away from that.
Good. Wow.
I'm glad that I'm here. I know 100% that, Angelo Ellaby.
Yes.
When I first, let me just to reinforce that.
All right.
When I first started the company, I was, well immersed in the music industry.
Right.
And the cookie started, it's kind of going forward before I go backwards and then go forward again. But my girlfriend moved in. Okay. And we give cookies to our friends and family. Right. So it was 36 people on the list. And we decided, my suggestion was, why don't we just make the cookie? Because she know I made cookies. So we said yes, and we went downtown to a tin store. We bought these holiday tins, and we put the cookies in, and we sent it out, and everybody was like, "Wow, this should be, something you should sell." So I'm like, you know what? I thought about it. This is the message. The path, it's like that first drop on the roller coaster for me. Yeah. And when it happens, I got to get it done.
Right.
And my first stop was at Sylvia's restaurant. I was doing an open mic there on Tuesday nights. Oh, and wow. Melba restaurant was the proprietor of the evening. And I called her and I said, Mel, I got this idea. I want to sell cookies and I would like to do it at the open mic. And without hesitation, zero hesitation, Melba said, okay. So
that one yes.
Right.
So that one yes.
I go to my computer, I make a label, I cut it out on a piece of paper, multiple labels. I put school glue on the back of it. I glue it to a brown bag. I put cookies in a sandwich bag. I put the sandwich bag in the brown bag. I scotch tape it closed, and I bring about 25 bags down to Melbourne's on Tuesday night with samples. And people, they announced the cookies. First announcement was by Shelby J, who's a singer with Prince. And everyone liked the cookies. They bought the cookies, maybe because they was just feeling so. I don't know, but they bought the cookies.
They're like, look at him. It's like, look at him. He ain't got no CD or nothing, so we're just gonna take his cookies.
Exactly. So sitting at the bar was a guy from YSB magazine, and he saw what was going on. Melba told him that I was drummer for the Apollo and doing different things. And when I went over to speak to him, he asked if can he do an article on us. So I said, okay. And I told him my girlfriend is also from the projects and she graduated from Juilliard. So he's like, oh, this is good. This is really cool. So he did the story. I didn't have a phone number to give him because I didn't want to give him my home number. Yeah. So I gave him, I called my sister and asked, could I use her pager number?
This is how far back it goes, the pager.
So he put the pager in, put the PIN number in. And about a month or so later, the article came out, and we got a couple of calls. The first day, then in the afternoon,
right?
Then the next day, 10 calls, then 20 calls, then 40 calls. So now the apartment is not working anymore. We got to find a
bigger place
to bake product. And I got the bright idea because of Angelo and my friendship. We had met through a mutual friend and became friends. And I started working for Jive Records as an A&R manager. And there was an opening for a publicity person. And I set up an interview for Angelo.
Yes.
And when I went to him, he never forgot that. So I said, Angelo, I have this cookie company. We're selling all of these cookies. I'd like to get some more, publicity on the company, but I don't have any money. And he said, okay, so here's what I'm going to do for you. I said, it goes back to that question of what you said of, doing it by yourself.
Right.
Impossible. So Angelo says, I'm going to help you. I know you're brand new. I know you ain't got no money because you're a musician. He said, so I'm going to give you a few months I think it was like 2 or 3 months. And you are expenses. So if I need to mail stuff out, if I need to do certain things, and I'm going to take you on as a client. Okay.
Wow.
In that amount of time, we ended up in the New York Times, Daily News, Village Voice, New York Post, London Independent, the TV Food Network, NBC, ABC, Fox. It goes on and on and on.
And that was just in that 3-month window that he gave you to do all of this. That's amazing. Yeah. But also Angelo is also amazing too. Let's give our props to him. Hello. But absolutely.
I came back now. At this point, I have partners now. It was a no-brainer. It was like he knows what he's doing. Yeah. He's doing it exact thing is happening again. You know, I'm doing major outlets, I'm doing major TV shows, you know, but you know, I get by with a little help from my friend.
Friends, absolutely.
You
We
know,
all
I mean,
do.
I'm paying him now, but it's,
Oh well, yeah. I mean, you know, you can't. They'll be distributing your stuff worldwide. And you ain't got to check for it, brother. I'm just saying. You know what I mean? Like, however, what a true testament to one of the things that I've always said about people in general, and that is, and you were going to be saying this before, is that there's like an allyship that has to happen in some aspects of our careers, especially as artists, especially in the entertainment world. There's just got to be an ally out there that either believes in you strong enough to know that what they're looking at is worth any of the energy that they're about to expend on you.
Right.
And know that there is a return in that. And
right.
Again, what you said was the other part that I love, is that once you manage to get where you are and the things that you've accumulated since that time, you never forget those people. You just don't. And, you know, being able to now come back, you know, because Angelo's gone on and done millions of other things since you, you know what I mean? But the mere fact now that you've come back, and you've come back in a way that's even better than when you first showed up, and that bond was there from the very beginning. So like it's like, to me, I feel like you're now getting to go into that super stratasy place, because you know, because it is where you are. Like, your cookies are all over the world now. Like,
yeah.
You know,
we've been very fortunate to have the cookies go where they are. But you know, one of the first things you asked me was about the music business and about the cookie. Can you hear me?
Yeah, just a little bit louder.
Okay. One of the first things that you asked me about was how do I do the cookies, and how do I do the music business?
Right.
Well, what I do when I travel, and everyone that knows me knows that I show up with cookies.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Good to know.
So I'll have them, you know, wherever I go, and it's kind of like a calling card.
Yeah.
A couple of times, specifically, I brought cookies down to the set of Good Morning America. I was invited there by my friend James Carter, who worked there, and I gave cookies to Robin Roberts, and she tried them before she went on set, and she said, you know, these cookies are so good, make you want to slap your mom. And the thing
that's
I love
how you
about,
know.
you know,
That's how you know.
Robin is real, and I love her realness. I love her authenticity. And then I was doing a show with Nile Rogers and Chic for Bette Midler, and I had cookies, and they ended up in her dressing room, and she came out of her dressing room in half makeup. She said, okay, where did these cookies come from? Where they come from? These are incredible. So first, Robin, she gave them out as holiday gifts, and then Miss Midler, Miss Roberts and Miss Midler both did the same thing. They gave them out as holiday gifts, and they helped even to get the word out even more.
Right.
You know, but one thing I would tell the young entrepreneurs is that you have to think about your product as an extension, like an arm, or a leg, or your heart, because you want people to experience your passion. So you have to have it there. You have to have your truth with you.
Right.
You know, don't just relegate it to the internet. You know, carry it with you. You never know who you might bump into. There are strangers on the street in New York who just was like, who is this nut bringing me cookies?
Bringing me cookies.
You know, I just
sadly for me, I'd be like, oh my God, who is this person bringing me cookies? Because that would make me extra happy.
I just met a guy the other day. I was coming out of the photo shoot for the cookies, and he was coming downstairs on the elevator. And I, you know, as my normal thing, I just started chatting with him, and I said, "Would you like some cookies?" He went, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, I own a cookie company." I said, "Would you like to try them?" And he said, "Okay." So I gave it. I did a taste. We're doing this thing called a Taste the Cookie campaign.
Okay.
We just walk up to people and go, "Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Where you from? Taste the cookie," and get their natural reaction.
Although that's a little scary in New York when people come up offering you strange food on the street. I'm just saying, you know,
I guess
you should at least have some signage.
Well, you know, if people are leery, I'll tell them, okay, listen, just Google me before you
bite.
Google me. Just know that I'm not here as some strange individual, you know.
Trying to poison people in the streets of New York. What's wrong with you?
So the gentleman ate the cookie, and while he was eating the cookie, he's going, yeah. So it's important for anyone who is starting a business is to realize that no matter how long it takes, is not a problem. It's actually okay, because passion doesn't have an expiration date. You have to continue. If it's something that you do from your heart, you just don't it's like a relationship. It is a relationship. You don't just walk away when you get tired. You know, if things aren't right, what do? You try to fix it. If you're truly in love and passionate about the relationship, you fix it. Whether that means a counselor, or whether that means, you know, going to a seminar, or going to the keys of the castle, which is the internet, and finding out information. You always are trying to grow. And if something goes wrong, you learn from that. You don't let it knock you back. You learn from what that mistake was. You take in the pain, you cry a little bit, and you go, okay, what did I learn from that? And how could I use that in my forward motion? And these are the things and techniques that when I'm doing my masterclass in drumming, I'll drum, but that to me is the wraparound. The real deal is the conversation with the audience about how they see themselves and how important every single day that we're breathing is to their lives. You know, so that's just how I so back to the beginning, this was never done alone, never. And I learned by everything that has come my way, you know. So, you know, I think that's important to everyone's forward motion.
I was going to say, do you think, though, that the discipline that it takes to be a world-class drummer serves you very well in this entrepreneurial space equally, or do you feel like you get even more because of that experience?
Every musician out there will agree, the majority will agree, that this journey is exciting. It's very exciting, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
You know, what people see now is me in situations that are, you know, very eloquent, you know, beautiful lighting, you know, but they didn't see me at the Mark IV on St. Nicholas Avenue, 146th Street. They didn't see me at the Round Table on 174th Street in Bronx River Avenue. You know, that was the proving ground, you know, for what's to come. So many of the musicians that I came up with, like Najee, you know, and folks like that, I've watched them in the trenches. I've watched them work their way up and believe in themselves, you know, without giving up, no matter how hard it was. Right. And I promise you, all of us have a story.
Well, I met Nile Rogers. I was part of an interview process with him many years ago, and he talked about when his memoirs had come out, and I read his memoirs, and he was talking about what that life was like in those early days, you know, working and then coming home and strumming at night, him and his friends, and trying to make that happen. And, you know, ending up at Studio 54, you know, all of those particular parts of his story were really great. But one of the things I do remember is that he never stopped through that process. He never stopped.
And knowing Nile now, and I just spoke to him today, which it always has a special feeling when I pick up the phone and talk to him, because, you know, he's Nile to us.
He's Nile, yeah.
But, you know, but then he's also Nile Rogers to us too, and I never take that for granted. I never second guess, you know, what he's done. Right. I read his book, and anybody who's in the music business, I recommend you read his book. It's called The Freak, and it will show you, if you can mirror that to your own life, you will see that the biggest thing, and it's something, again, that I talk about, is how important it is to get out of your own way.
Yeah.
That is a big one. And that's the biggest thing that I see that people do, is that they create value in negativity.
Right. It's so interesting though, because, you know, talking to Angelo before, when we were getting together to have the conversation about having you, talking to you, like Angelo and I have a wonderful history as well. And, you know, as you say, that there's those periods in your life where you don't feel, you're like, you're down, you hit, the world gets you, things come at you. And it does feel like it takes you out. And, you know, being around people like Angelo is what helps bring folks like me back every time. I felt like I got pulled back, especially now talking to you, but I feel like I got pulled right back into what it was that I should be doing and continue to do. And I know that what I'm doing, I have a passion for it too. And it's just to hear you say the same thing, which is when you're down, you learn, look around, you get yourself up. And there was a hard time for me to be able to get up from that. And so, you know, and I'm still getting up, you know what I mean? I'm basically now gone from lying prone on my back to sitting up, and then, you know, that position where you feel like you're just about to sit up. That's kind of where I am now. And you don't get there alone. You don't, but it's got to be you that has to have the energy to pull that up. And you're right about the passion never dies, because I love talking to people, and I love talking to, especially about theater, and I love talking to artists, and so it is that that passion. It's right. About the passion.
The brain is like any other muscle in your body. If you exercise it, it will grow. Yeah. If you don't, it will atrophy.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you know anyone who's been in some type of accident, there is a point where they have to go through physical therapy. That's the same analogy for the brain. You were laying down and you sat up. That took time. That took work.
It took a long time too.
So what I say to people, there's ways of exercising yourself down, and there's ways of exercising yourself up in your mind if you apply the positivity. Like, the big one for me was finding the positive in a negative situation. That was the big one, because wearing that as a crown can tear you down. Yes. That negativity will wear you out in no time, and you just feel like, you know, I have exercised my mind to be comfortable in this space, right, and this is where I feel safe, without realizing that you are suffering from something that needs to be worked back up again. Right. So that's what I'm saying. When my mother, my mother passed away, I was 23. She died at 55 of cancer, and it took me way down.
Yeah.
And one day I was in my bedroom, and I was walking out of the bedroom, and the mirror's there. And I realized that there's two ways of looking in the mirror. There's the grooming looking, there's the brushing the teeth and getting the face together looking, and to go out into the world. And then there's the looking when you're actually looking at yourself.
Yeah.
And that particular day, I found me looking at me like I was a stranger. And then I started talking to myself in the mirror. And the first words that came out of my mouth was, "What in the hell are you doing? What are you doing? Your mother would die."
Man, you don't understand how you're echoing to me exactly the same thing. Like that was having that moment just a few weeks. And I mean, we're talking like this stuff is kind of new for me, but we're talking about a few weeks ago. And I felt like I heard my mother tell me, "What the hell is wrong with you?" That's what my mother said to me. What is your problem? What?
Right.
What? Who are you? You are not the child that I raised. What the hell are you doing? You need to fix this, and you need to fix it quick. And it was like, I could feel it. I'm talking about it now, and I feel like she's probably right here now. It's coming at me, probably for telling her business. But she's, you know what I mean? But
that's the part I'm talking about, is that when you have that clarity with yourself, then anything on the outside that could be attacking is easier to block. because
Yes.
you know that you now have the ability, the armor, to be able to fight these things off, because you know that you are surviving for you.
Yeah.
And that makes the world a lot beautiful.
Yeah.
You know,
It
because you get
does.
that, you get that kind of been there, done that. Like when the pain hits, you go, I know what that is, and it's not gonna get me. And you move forward. So that's what helped me to grow as a person and believe in everything that I was doing. I was a drummer at the time, not really involved in cookies at all.
Right.
And 3 years later, after that, because I literally suffered for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Is when I started the cookie company and really, understood that every day that I breathe in and out is a gift. Is a gift.
Yes.
Absolute gift that I'm not taking for granted. So when you said, how do I do both? When I come home after work or whatever, and I'm here in the same place, in my living room, my computer is on and I'm working until I get tired and go to bed. And that's always my routine, is to exercise the relationship between my passions and the things that I have to do on a daily basis. And I want more people to understand that even though you have free time at the end of your day, whether you're working at a job you like or not, but you have something else you want to do, in that 24-hour day, mathematically, I know that you can find 2 hours somewhere.
That belong to you.
That belong to you. 2 hours. And get it in. The big difference is you got the internet. You got the keys to the castle. I tell my daughter this 1,000 times. My wife learned how to build basically the inside of a building on YouTube. That is not, I'm not kidding. I've learned so much about different things, and now I'm teaching on the internet, lessons, and trying to help people move forward. Because if we don't understand that we're not connected now after this doggone COVID, we ain't never, ever, ever, ever.
It's never going to ever happen. You're so right. You're so right. Oh, Ralph, I could talk to you forever, my friend. I really, really, really can. Now, you're based in New York, right? In the city?
I'm born and raised in the Bronx. I still live in the Bronx. Now that my daughter's off to school, I know I'm probably going to stay. I know my business is going to stay here. But I came back to, I was living upstate and in the Bronx. But when she started school, I came back totally. But now she's off to college. So we're talking about trying to find some place next year.
And get out of New York, or just something smaller, bigger?
Well, the thing is, the deal that I've made with myself is that I will always have a business here in the Bronx. Always. So we're moving from where we are to a brand new facility on Spofford Avenue and Tiffany Street, where the old Spofford Juvenile Detention Center used to be, which is now affordable housing and space for business.
Wow.
Mike Tyson was in that facility, and it was closed down by the city and by the state and by Amnesty International because of some of the things that was going on there. And I was part of a think tank that helped it to be what it is now. And inside of the facility, we're opening a culinary school. And my partner is a guy named Bill Yassis. Bill Yassis was someone that I met from an invite to be involved with a charity that's building a hospital in Ghana. And he runs something called One World, One Kitchen. Bill Yassis was the pastry chef for the Obamas and the Bush family. He has a TV show on Hulu called Baker's Choice.
Wow.
And I'm proud to just be in this man's presence. He is the bomb. And we're now opening a culinary school in the South Bronx.
And what did I read? You have a restaurant as well? Okay. Let's talk about some eats, because I love my cookies, but if you could throw a steak or something on top of that, I ain't gonna be mad at you at all.
Well, thanks to COVID, we couldn't survive the Omicron variant.
Okay.
We closed down when the first wave hit for 3 months, not thinking we were going to ever get, and we had just opened in August, and then it hit in March, so we didn't have a lot of time to get under our feet. We reopened We didn't get funded the first PPP. We got funded the second one. I'm glad that I brought my staff back and we could, take care of them as long as we could. But the traffic inside was always very iffy. And the messaging was always very iffy. When Omicron hit, the traffic went to zero, and we were able, luckily, to get our staff up to Christmas Day.
Wow.
That was the last week. Everyone had, could have holidays for their families. Then we had to tell them we're really sorry, that we can't do it. But luckily, the restaurant was purchased by me recently from a guy who's opening up a Jamaican restaurant in my spot. So I'm happy for him.
Wow. Well, I mean, that's one of those knock you down moments that you have to get up from.
What do you learn from this?
And what do you learn from that?
Yeah. And
dang, Ralph. Okay. So sounds like we're gonna be friends and stuff. So that's cool for me.
Absolutely.
I feel like I think totally, because I heard cookies. I hear culinary school.
Well, like
I hear entertaining drummers. First of all, when you said Bette Midler, my gay heart just jumped a whole extra beat. I was like, what?
But listen, if you and I were in the room together, people would be going,
because we do look like we certainly could be family, and I wouldn't even put it past it not being so, because your family's from the Bahamas, is that right?
On my father's side, we're from an island called Exuma.
Exuma, okay.
And in Exuma, a beautiful island, there was a place there called Rollville. The slave owner gave all of his slaves, like most did, his last name. When he died, he gave them the land. So if you go,
that's kind of nice of him. I was like, thanks.
Right?
It's like, okay.
It's kind of crazy when you think about it. It's just almost an oxymoron. It's like he gave slaves the land.
Gave them the land.
But if you go and if you Google Exuma, EXUMA, there is a place there called Rollville. And that's where all the rolls came from, there to Miami. And that's when my mother met my father in Miami. They grew up in the projects there. They came up to New York and moved to the projects. And many people, as you know, migrated north because there was more opportunity and slightly less racism.
Yeah.
It's just one of those kind of things that my story is very identical to your story, which is identical to many others.
Because my parents were from Honduras, and so they moved to, like, when they immigrated to the States in the early 60s. My mother was in Los Angeles for a hot minute, and my father came to New York, and then grandmother, uncles, aunts started to kind of migrate in. So I had a lot of early family at the early stage. My mother and father got married in New York in the 60s. And so, I mean, there's not to say that just because the Black people stopped at Exuma doesn't mean that the relations stopped the rest of the way, because they just dropped people off as they were going down the diaspora. You know what I'm saying?
What you just said is what I tell people all the time. I said, I don't care if you're from Honduras, if you're from Brazil, or if you're from Haiti. It was all because those ships just started going, okay, this is where we're going to set shop up.
Exactly.
But
we're all here, and we're all, and it's wonderful, because watching what you're doing now is really great, because not only are you doing this, but you actually, by keeping this factory space in the Bronx, or keeping it in the area, you're actually giving back to the area that gave to you, which is even better.
That is something that I dreamt about. And I've been at my current facility for 13 years. This new facility is going to be iconic because of what it stood for, and now what it stands for. And my whole thing is to teach.
It's amazing.
Anyone to want to move forward in their lives, and how to just
amazing,
just hard work and determination. My grandmother, started the ball rolling with my uncles and my aunts and my mother. And my mother kept it up with her 4 kids, and we all became very successful. And we all came from public housing. And my whole summation is, if I can do this with just $30-something
Mm-hmm.
and starting in the projects in the Bronx River apartment 3F from 1595.
Wow.
Then you can do it, and have to look at yourself as being important and meaningful and necessary. And every breath that you breathe in is cherished, should be. And don't take those breaths for granted, because one day the credits will roll.
Wow.
And you just
want to tell
know.
it. You hope that the movie that's going to be playing will be one that you'll be thrilled and proud to have been a part of.
That's the point right there.
Wow.
That's it.
Well, Ralph, dang, man. All right. So we're going to have to get Angelo to get us together, because right now I'm in the Bronx.
That'd be perfect.
But I would love to, act now that we can, at least stand in the same room and shake hands at the minimum.
Are you in New York?
I am in New York, yes.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
So, yes.
Do you speak Spanish?
Un poquito. Yo puedo hablar un poquito de español. My parents didn't teach. See, that's the thing. I was born in the 60s, and my parents didn't teach us Spanish growing up because they wanted us to be Americanos. We wanted to be seen. And, they were already watching what was going on with Black America. They were just probably like, we don't need to add the Spanish thing to that too. It's only like the younger generation from my family, like in the 70s, that were born later on, that all speak Spanish now. So it's like me and my brother, sometimes we're in the room and we're like, I sort of understand what they're saying. Do you? He's like, yeah, sort of. But I took Spanish when I went to college. So I feel much more confident about, being dropped in the middle of Mexico or dropped in Spain. Like, I could get home. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo puedo hablar suficiente. You know what I'm saying? I can get through the process. But yeah, it's wonderful. It's like what you just said. It's like, you want your credits to be when those credits are going to roll. And you're right. It's like, what credits do you want to leave behind? And so for those of you who are looking now, y'all need to go to eatsoulsnacks.com so that you can get your cookies, get the cookie realness on, because this has been going across the screen the whole time. And also find out as much as you can about Ralph Rolle and all of the different people that he has worked with. And, if you're out there as a musician and you're a drummer, it's sort of like, here, you're talking to a master right here. You're getting to watch a master talk to you, not only about his career as a drummer, but also the things that some of us artists forget, that, there is another world of things that we could be doing as well as our art. And so I thank you for that, because just this conversation alone has been an inspiration for me, considering what I'm going through. So this is, again, shout out to Angelo, Double Exposure, because it seems like he's right on time. He's just right on time. Just right on time. So you, my friend, have a fantastic day, and we are going to be back.
Okay.